My name is Robert Bruce. I'm the Operations Manager for Buds. Buds is Better Understanding of Dementia for Sandwell. We're a small charity based in Smethwick, but we do cover the whole of Sandwell, and Buds basically offers support for people with dementia and their family carers. So there's a number of ways which we do this. We hold weekly clubs and we offer a befriending service, and we do carer support. But really the service would not exist without our army of volunteers, and we've got roughly around about 60-70 volunteers. There has been times when that's gone up to the 90 mark, and there's times when it's been down to like 30, but we sort of average at any one time around about 60-70 active volunteers. It's quite a unique service. As I say, deals specifically with people with dementia in Sandwell. There are other services such as Alzheimer's Society, etc., which do a fabulous job. But we sort of deal more hands-on with the person with the dementia, get them coming to the clubs, taking part in activities, having a lunch with us, etc. And whilst they're with us, it gives the family member a much-needed break. Befriending is the other service, which is volunteer-led, which is where the volunteer goes out and visits them in their own home. Again, just provide a couple of hours a week of support and a companion, and again gives the carer a bit of much needed break. Buds come about 2009, and it was as a result of a consultation in the local area, which basically asked what support is there currently for people in Sandwell who are affected by dementia. And the answer was there wasn't not a great deal. So the first bit of funding we had was from Harborne Parish Lands Charity, who put some money into the foundation of Buds. And as I say, we're there to act as a support for, let's say, somebody goes to the GP, gets diagnosed with dementia. It would be normally a case of not a lot we can do, come back when it gets a bit worse. And then families would pretty much be quite isolated and alone in their dealing with this situation. What we hope that now is that Buds can step in and provide that support, and obviously make the experience better. And it's just sort of advanced over the years now, and dementia is getting more and more publicity, which is good, because it's an illness out there that affects a lot of people, but in the past hasn't really had the recognition. It's just been dismissed as old age, losing the marbles type thing. So that's why Buds was formed, and since then we get asked quite often, is there a Buds in Dudley? Is there a Buds in Walsall? Etc. But there isn't. We are specifically just for Sandwell, and Sandwell needs, we do get Feed Sandwell's quite proud of that, and it is a unique service and very beneficial to the people of Sandwell. I actually used to live stone's throw from here, and I moved up north for 4 years. That move didn't quite work out. I moved back into the area. I was agency working for a couple of weeks, and then somebody who I knew had dealings with Buds mentioned to me that in order to sort of expand, that they need more volunteers, and there was the opportunity to be for a volunteer coordinator. So I took up the post on a 3-month temporary contract. At the time, I think we had around about 16-17 volunteers. The 3-month post was then extended for another 3 months, and by this time the volunteer numbers had increased, up to not far off the 50 mark. This enabled us to reach more people, support more people, and it enabled us to get a volunteer structure in place. So after 6 months I was offered a permanent post as volunteer coordinator, which I did for another sort of 18 months. And then after that time, I then became the operations manager, which basically is the day-to-day running of the service. As I say, the service expanded quite a lot in the last couple of years. When I first came, there was 1 full-time member of staff and 2 part-time members of staff, and I was on a temporary contract. we've now got 3 full-time members of staff and 7 part-time members of staff, so it has expanded quite a bit. So how we used to, and what we'd still try and do today, is make sure that if somebody sent in an application form or an inquiry about volunteering, we'd contact them within 24, 48 hours. We'd get them to meet here at Buds with myself for a short interview. We'd get the paperwork done, we'd do a CRB, and then we'd book them in for some dementia awareness training. And then the CRB naturally used to take around about 6 to 8 weeks. And then we'd use that 6 to 8 week period to invite them to the clubs, to get to a feel for Buds, get a feel for what we do, to meet the other volunteers, to meet the staff and the clients. And then do some dementia awareness training, which we'd hold here. And then by the time the CRB come back, they would then be in a position where if they wanted to do the befriending, they could do that. So we had a really good system in place that anybody who was interested in volunteering got the opportunity, and they got it quite quickly, because feedback we had from other organisations, well, volunteers would say, oh well, I've been to so 2 weeks ago and they've not got back to me. So we identified this as a strike while the iron's hot type thing. If they're interested, let's get them in, but let's give them the support they need, let's give them the training, let's give them a right induction. And that should help the retention, keep the retention of volunteers. The future for Buds is to keep doing what we're doing. As I speak today, we're due to start another new club in Great Barr next week. We've recently started a new memory club for people with early onset dementia. And in June, we're moving into as part of the Lighthouse project at Edward Street, where we'll be providing another club. So by the time we get to June, we'll then be doing 20 clubs per week across Sandwell. The befriending, we're currently doing in excess of 40 befriending visits per week. So I'd expect that to continue to rise. Hopefully we'll still have the bank of committed and passionate volunteers that we have now. With the volunteer aspect, obviously it can be like a revolving door. We have volunteers who leave the service due to a number of reasons. It could be that they get paid work, which is ultimately, we would view that as a success. It could be that they no longer have the commitment time. It might be that they've done enough and they want to try something new. Or if it's a student that's sort of been volunteering as part of a placement type setup, they might finish that and then obviously that's finished. So it's always important to keep new ones coming in, and that's what we do. And let's just, for funding is always the bugbear. It's a fantastic service, but we have to keep ourselves afloat. And I think if you ask what the future of Buds is, let's just hope that we're still running the service, in the years to come, and we can secure funding that will enable us to do that.